Hey guys, today's episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast is presented by the Sports Spectrum magazine. I'm telling you, it's probably the best thing that we do here at Sports Spectrum, a quarterly magazine, 4 issues each year, and it's super cheap, $18 for a 1-year subscription, $30 for a 2-year subscription. The Sports Spectrum magazine has been around since 1985 with Dr. J. Julius Irving on the cover. And so I want to recommend that you check out the Sports Spectrum magazine. It makes a great resource. It's perfect for the kiddos. So you can check it out at sportspectrum.com right now to subscribe and get our Sports Spectrum magazine. Sportspectrum.com. Subscribe today.
Welcome to Sports Spectrum, where we bring Jesus back into the conversation. Here's your host, former ESPN producer, Jason Romano.
And welcome everyone to the show. I am Jason. This is the Sports Spectrum podcast. Check us out online at sportspectrum.com. And if you have a guest idea or a topic for a show or want to just get in touch with us, you can email me, jason@sportspectrum.com. jason@sportspectrum.com. I mentioned the magazine at the top of the show and why you should subscribe to Sports Spectrum's magazine. Well, here's the deal. The magazine is actually coming out our brand new spring issue in a week or two, and on the cover is Adam Wainwright and his wife, Jenny Wainwright. We had the opportunity to sit down with them about a month or so ago at a conference in Florida and do a feature on them, a cover story, a photo shoot. And we're going to feature not just Adam Wainwright. You all know Adam, St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. Gosh, been there for a long time. Can't think about how many years. I think he arrived there in 2005, and now he's going on, I think, year 17 this year as a Major League Baseball pitcher in 2022. But we wanted to hear the other half of Adam, and that is Jenny Wainwright, and really what makes the Wainwrights tick, not just Adam, but keeping that family dynamic going. And we're excited to bring to you this magazine story, but we're also excited to bring to you this podcast. So this was the conversation that stemmed from the initial idea of putting Adam and Jenny on the cover of our magazine. John Ackerman is our managing editor at Sports Spectrum, and he sat down with Adam and Jenny and had a conversation, and we want to bring that conversation to you right now, right here on Sports Spectrum. Let's take a listen to Adam and Jenny Wainwright.
Adam and Jenny, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for taking some time to do this. We really appreciate it. Adam, don't know if you remember, but 3 years ago, we were at this very hotel. We're at a conference here in Florida, going into the 2019 season, and we talked about where you were at in that stage of your career. And you had mentioned this is probably my last year. So I was going into 2019. Yep. Here we are 3 years later. You went out that year, won 14 games. Then there was 2020, which was just a mess for the league and chaos. And then 2021. You win 17 games, second in the majors. Your 17-7 record was the second best of your career. 206 innings pitched. What happened? Like what was it this year about this year that clicked for you?
Healthy. I was healthy for one thing. I mean, health is a big part of success sometimes. The other thing, I think what happened was, as I've gotten older, especially the last few years, where there was these couple of years where I was trying to compete but trying to kind of impersonate other players because everyone throws so hard now, right? Everyone's fastball is like close to 100 miles an hour, and bullpen guys are throwing all 100 miles an hour. Starters now, they're sitting 95. Almost everybody is. And I was not doing that. And so I thought, well, I've got to throw harder. When the last couple of years I realized that there's a lot of different ways to get outs. And I just become a lot more comfortable in my own skin out on the mound. and what I have as a repertoire is different. And it's kind of like I throw below the hitting speed now, so it's kind of throws hitters off. I mean, I feel like I don't throw that slow, but in relation to all the other guys nowadays, I do. And for whatever reason, when I go out there, maybe I shouldn't think like this, but for whatever reason, when I take the mound, I feel like I'm the best pitcher in the planet, which is a big part of success also, is believing you have that ability. So got to trick myself into believing it, I think.
Yeah. Jenny, what was it like for you? We love having you a part of this conversation, because to hear the wife's perspective, the wife's life alongside her husband playing in the big leagues. What was this past season like for you, watching your husband at this stage in his career have such a phenomenal season on the mound?
It was so much fun to see him be so successful again. I mean, it's always fun to watch him play, but I just know how much he likes being good at what he does, and so it was hard to watch him struggle when he was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun to watch him having so much fun doing it again. And a couple of years ago, I thought that we were done. So it's just like this all feels like extra credit and bonus.
We both thought I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, you said in 2019 you're like, this is probably it. This is probably it.
So in 2018, I ended the season somewhat healthy, kind of healthy, but I missed most of that year. And I had been trying to rehab all season, and it just wasn't getting better. And I legitimately stopped throwing for a few weeks until my teammate Dominic Leone, who was rehabbing, he needed a throwing partner. And our rehab therapist is not a good catch partner, so he needed me to go out there and kind of find a way to throw it back to him. And so, I was literally like trying to throw like a grenade for a while. And then something happened where I just kind of found a way to take the ball back mechanically a little bit different, a little bit longer than I used to. And for whatever reason, it sort of took a little bit of the pain off my elbow. And I was able to start getting it out a little farther. And the further he went back, I was expecting to two-hop it, and I started getting the ball to carry all the way to him and thinking, man, okay, well, does this relate when I get onto the mound?
Mm-hmm.
And going into 2019, I really thought, okay, I might be able to piece something together for, this season. But it just had hurt for so long and been so bad for, 2 seasons in a row. It was really painful. Every throw, eating, I had times where I dropped a fork out of my hand because it got something like just the bones would bang together. And I'm like, oh gosh. And, it's not fun. It becomes not fun when you have to play like that.
Yeah. So then you have, obviously you had a great year, and you're going through this past season, and you get to September and put out a video that says you're with all your kids, and Jenny's filming the video to play or not to play, and you have each one of your kids say what they want you to do, and they all say play, and I mean, I know that was staged to a degree for the video, whatever, but I have to imagine that this was a legitimate conversation in the Wainwright household of, does Daddy continue to play? Does Daddy play another season? Why is that important for you? Why is that important for you to have your family's support in continuing this baseball career?
Yeah, and it was a conversation we were having. I'm a guy who I really try to stay in the present. I don't like looking too far ahead, because seemingly every time I've done that in my career, I've been knocked down or I've gone somewhere else where I thought I wasn't. And so seemingly jumping too far ahead and what's coming next doesn't work for me. I'm not a very good planner in the first place. It's not really how I do. But this was a kind of like it's one of those things where, I'm going to look at Jenny and I go, I mean, we kind of do need to talk about this a little bit. And as much as I tried not to talk about it, the media will not let you not talk about it, right? Like, so is this your last start? I'm like, I don't know, I mean, it could be, and I just, the more and more I thought about it, I thought, well, okay, we got to.
And I was kind of surprised how overwhelmingly excited the kids were, because they always want him to be around. They're always
Sure.
wishing that he was there more. And so I kind of thought some of them might be like, no, I really would rather you not, you know, if given the actual choice, but they all were like, yes, we really want you to play again. So,
and it's getting harder. I would say until the last year or two, all our kids kind of liked the adventure of moving around. They get a couple months in one place and they're like, all right, Dad, we've been here for 2 months. Where are we going? You know, and it's gotten a little, as they've gotten older, especially my older ones, a little more plugged in with their friends at home.
Yeah.
A little more
activities.
Yeah. You know, sports here, golf here, and things with their friends, especially their friends. And I mean, we remember being teenagers. You know, your friends in that age, it's just really, really important to you.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that the original question was, why do I need their support? I just want to make sure, because I've been doing this for a long time. Professional baseball for this will be my 23rd season. 17 years in the big leagues, and I've been doing. No one's going to look at that and go, "Well, why'd you retire so early?" You know, that's not going to happen.
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm not being just self-absorbed in that decision. Right. This is, our family is really important to me. Our family dynamic. I grew up without a father at home, and I don't want to be the guy who's never at home. I don't want to be the guy that misses everything for all my kids, you know, growing up. And I have missed some things, you know, teeth been pulled and rode their bike for the first time. And, you know, I mean, there's some things you miss. Took their first step. I think I missed a couple of our kids' first steps when I was gone, probably. And, you know, those are big moments. Right. And so I got most of their youth still there that I can enjoy. And I just don't want to miss it, you know?
Right.
I mean, I love what I do. I really enjoy what I'm doing, but I'm getting to a point now where I'm ready to cheer them on rather than them always cheering me on.
Yeah. Him continuing to play, obviously, Jenny, it impacts you a ton. It impacts you a lot. He's gone a lot from, you know, spring training in February through September, hopefully October.
Right.
So that puts a lot on you with 5 kids at home. I mean, was there probably wasn't the case, but was there a time last year when he's playing so well, you're like, oh no, we're gonna do this again?
No, I think I was excited. Well, for one thing, I don't know any different. I mean, I think that retirement's going to be great, and I think that it's going to be like a permanent vacation. But I'm like, there's also that little bit of unknown, like, you know, what if, you know, I don't know. I think it's going to be great. But that being said, this is all I've ever known. So just to say that we can keep doing it, and we're all having fun doing it, and I mean, we have great friends in St. Louis that we'll miss when we're not there all the time. I like St. Louis. I'll definitely miss going to spring training. I mean, that's kind of
love spring training. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite times of the year. So I'm kind of like, you know, if you want to do one more year, there's enough good parts that outweigh the kind of sometimes difficult parts of, you know, the season that I feel like it's.
And we've played for so long that there's certain things about our home life that we don't really remember not being a part in baseball.
Sure.
And we don't know, like my hometown, we both grew up there, but we haven't been there in summer in 23 years.
Yeah.
I got drafted in June 5th, 2000.
And I went to college. So, I mean, I haven't really been back there full time since then either. So
people are like, what's the temperature there in the summer? I'm like, well, I think I remember it, you know, but it's been so long, you know, there's a lot of things we'll have to get back into, but we've played with a lot of people who, you know, they grew up in baseball the same way we did. We've been married since '04, and I was in AAA. We haven't been married one single year of our life when we weren't in baseball.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So there's going to be some things that are different, but I will be glad to be still a little bit because you just go and go. I think that's a good point. I'll probably be glad to be still for a minute. And
I know every time we pack to go from our house to spring training and spring training to St. Louis, I'm always like, this is not going to be one of the things that I miss.
Yep.
But I think that we will miss being in the different cities. But the packing will be the one thing I will be happy
packing
to give
for 7 people, 5 women.
Yeah.
No offense, women.
Right.
You pack more than we do.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That'll be the one thing I'll be happy to give up.
Today's episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast is presented by our friends at Compassion International. We've talked about Compassion, and we're so grateful for their partnership here on Sports Spectrum. They have been with us now for 4 years, and the work that they do is second to none. We're talking about releasing kids, young children, from poverty. No child should be stuck in poverty. It's just not what should be happening. And Compassion says, you know what, we're going to do something about it. We're going to stand in the gap with these children and help them and their families be released from poverty-stricken situations. And when you go to the website, compassion.com/sports spectrum, you'll see a list of children there waiting to be released from poverty. Just simply the words, choose me, kids from Indonesia, kids from all around the world, Mexico, Uganda, Nicaragua, Colombia, Ghana, I mean, just the Philippines, Bangladesh, all over the world. These kids did nothing to deserve the poverty-stricken situations that they're in. But here's the beautiful thing about Compassion. They give you and I an opportunity to stand in the gap and help these kids and release them from poverty. It's why myself and my wife and my daughter feel so strongly about Compassion and sponsor a child through their program. And we want to encourage you to do the same. It's $38 a month, tax deductible, and it connects a child living in poverty with a loving, church-driven child sponsorship program like Compassion International. Consider it today. Pray about it and think about where your money might go each and every day. In this situation, your money is going for medical checkups, nutritional food, educational assistance, mentoring, and most importantly, every sponsored child with Compassion will hear about Jesus Christ and be encouraged to develop a lifelong relationship with God. Check out compassion.com/sports spectrum and consider sponsoring a child today. Now let's get back to our conversation with Adam and Jenny Wainwright right here on Sports Spectrum.
Jenny, I'd love to hear more about life as a baseball wife. And, I'm sure it's changed over the years as you guys have had kids. Like, it was probably easier to travel. Like you said, it was probably easier to travel with the team maybe when the kids are younger, they're not in school. But as the kids get in school and they have friends and activities, probably more staying at home, I would imagine, for you and the kids. But, I'm sure you're a pro at it now. Like you said, it's been a long time.
Right.
You guys have been doing this for a long time. But what are some aspects that, the general public may not realize of what a baseball wife's life is like?
Well, there's a lot of things you end up doing on your own, like that, when he's on the road, like, the toilet clogs. Guess who gets to
Right.
take care of that one? I think that's maybe not the most glamorous part of this, but just a lot of, like missing your spouse when he's traveling. I think that's something probably people don't realize, that they're gone so much. Even when they're playing at home, they're still gone a lot of that day. So
it does seem like all the dirty, gross, disgusting bugs,
kids only get
whatever,
sick when he's on the road.
I'm on the road.
That's only when, kids never get sick when he's home. They only get sick when I'm there by myself.
Yep, it does happen.
The electricity only goes out when we only have tornado warnings when he's on the road. It's
alarm goes off. Is there someone in the house?
Middle of the
Adam's
night.
not here.
Yes, that did happen at 2 a.m. one time. Yeah, so it seems like those type of things happen a lot when he's on the road. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've only ever been a baseball wife, so
Yeah.
It's been great.
You're a pretty wife, I know.
Well,
that.
thanks.
Jenny, what does spiritual growth look like for you? Like, what is that aspect of, obviously you guys are both very strong in your faith. Are you part of, are you in a women's Bible study? Are you at church? Are you bringing the kids to church every Sunday? Like, what does spiritual growth look like for you?
Yeah, it's different than probably in the off season. I feel like we're much more consistent when it's both of us.
Sure.
There's definitely times where I'm like, oh, I've got to get everybody out the door by myself. This isn't happening. We're going to watch online today. But we have a Bible study through the team. And then there's been years when I joined a Bible study with just local women there. And that's been great. You find people, like-minded people to do life with. And, that helps a lot. So
Now, no, Adam, for you, the past few years have been big for you with the Bible Engagement Journal, and I'm going through it right now. I'm coming up toward the end of my first year, so I know what a commitment it is. And you committed to I think I heard you talk about this a little bit. Like you started it one year, you did a good job, but you're like, I got to do better. Yeah. And started leading some teammates through it. Put the offer out at church and started leading. It's like offering to lead some people at your church through it, and then put it out on Twitter and had thousands of people wanting to go through the Bible in a year through this Bible engagement journal. With you leading the way. So that's you reading it and writing comments and posting comments every day. What has that been like? How has that been for you and your personal spiritual growth? But what has that just experience been like the past couple of years?
Yeah, I would say, so I did it 6 years in a row and led groups through it the last 3, but really devoutly the last 2 where I didn't miss a single day. But like you said, I started off, and the great thing about the journal is there's visual evidence of what you did in the Word. So like when you're journaling every day that you read, somebody would say, how many days a year did you think you read this year? And I'd be like, I did pretty good. And then you look at the book and you're like, wow, I was in the Word 25% of the days? Like, really? That's really shocking. I really feel like maybe I wrote on the same page twice, or whatever. But it was really eye-opening because unless you're documenting it, sometimes it can be really hard to keep up with the progress and exactly what you're doing. And so just seeing it really helped me. And I thought, well, that's just not good enough. Like I thought I was engaged minimum 50% of the time. Yeah, I got to step way up. And so joining Don Christensen in that program, it was great. I would have him. He had us in a group, and he would send out a daily response, a daily recap over a text message or whatever. And I thought, man, if I really want to get serious about this, leading it is the way to go, because you can't take off if you're going to lead, and you can't miss a day because people are depending on you. And
when you put it on Twitter, you really can't miss a day.
You can't. And so when I took it to the church, I thought this is going to be good. I'll help lead, the church, whoever wants to go through it. I bought 200 books, and I thought, that's a lot of books. There's no way we're going to get 200 books, but, 200 people to do it. But that's what I'll do, and we'll just, it'll be great. And then as I was leaving the church, I was like, and I put it out there, and they sold almost all the books in the first church service. I thought, man, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to do this. I really feel like I'm supposed to do this on social media. I really don't want to, because a lot of people that could be seeing that, and it's just a lot comes with that, and accountability, and you're going to have some naysayers, whatever. And then I thought, you know what? I can't shake it. I got to do it. And so I threw it out there, and we ended up having over 22,000 people do this study with me online. And you want to talk about pressure, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like pastors and all sorts of people commenting, keeping you in check.
There's anywhere from like long-term pastors to never read the Bible. I like the Cardinals. I'm doing this because you're a Cardinal and I think you're cool, whatever. There was all those people in between. Yeah. But then we might have let's say we had a day game followed by a long road trip. We had to fly across country. We get in super late. So I wasn't able to do it in the morning like I normally would. And then I get in at 12 or 1 o'clock. Well, the messages go out. I did it through an account where the messages go out automated. I'd type it all up. First I wrote them all out, and then I typed it all out, and then I would send it out. I would put it in this account, and they would send it out at 3 a.m. every morning. But I don't know how many mornings there were where I was like, it's 2:58, like typing things and like, put it in there and go, press send, and then it goes out at 3:01. And I'm like, because at 3:03, there'd be 5 or 6 people waiting wherever they were.
Oh, and if you were late, they would call you on it.
Oh, man.
He, I think, sent one message from a deer stand. He had no cell service, and so he had to somehow copy and paste it to me. I had to figure out how to get on this site and download it onto the thing.
That's true. There was a lot of days that it barely got done, and it was such a good teaching lesson for me. It was such a good accountability lesson for me, and it was such a good routine for me to instill God's word in my everyday program, no matter what. I got to get it done today because people are counting on me. Because right now, what I want to do is I want to lay my head on the pillow and go to sleep because I'm tired. I don't want to write because on average, it took me about 2 hours a day to do it. Yeah. So it was a big time commitment. Yeah. And I remember the first week of that, I remember saying, I did not know what I was getting myself into. Yeah. I said, Jenny, you're going to have to help me through this because I feel like this might be the most important thing I've ever done.
Yeah. And how did you help him? Because I'd heard him say that. And so how did you help him? Are you going through it as well?
So I did a lot of the reading. I didn't journal as much, but a lot of times like I would read and then we would kind of talk about some of it. Not always. He definitely, it was mostly him. I think the biggest way I helped was giving him the time to do it. Because I knew that he needed those 2 hours. And so sometimes it was like, I have to get this done. Okay, well then I'm going to try to keep the kids away from you for.
Yeah.
But also there was times where I was stuck. I would look at something and go, babe, I got nothing. I got to send a message out to a bunch of people. And what I'm thinking right now is not it's not going to be good. Like what? Yeah. And she would read something and she would be like, well, what I saw was this. And I'd be like, man, that's really good. And so I would, there was several times where I would like, Jenny and I spoke about, but there was a couple of days where it was all Jenny.
No.
That's true.
Last thing I would love to just hear about you guys this past year. Obviously we all know that COVID has been a big part of all of our lives in one way or another, and the family got it this year, right? And Adam, you took some time, went on the injured list, not being injured. Because your family, your wife and your kids, I'm not sure how many, who all had it, but
all of us at the very same time. Yep.
All 6 of them had it. Yeah.
None of the kids got sick though. Just.
And so, I mean, I to me, this says a lot about you, Adam, as a person. To go on the injured list, basically volunteering to go on the injured list. I can't play baseball right now. Yeah. Like I need to be at home. I guess what was that time like for you guys? What were the conversations you guys had to get you there?
I'm going to be fully transparent about that moment. Should I be?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to say.
You go first.
I was going to say that we all tested positive with no symptoms because we just test.
Yeah.
Just the team tests us before they come in. And so we found out the morning he was supposed to come back that they called me and they go, you and all the kids are positive. I was like, what? That's not possible. Yeah. And then we were like, can we do it again just to make sure? And then we did it again. And they were like, yep, we still are. And so he just didn't, they wanted him to go stay in a hotel for the time being because we weren't sick. And so I was like, that's fine.
Yeah, we were coming off some long road trip too. And
I think
the last thing you want to do is come home and they go, sorry, dude.
You got to go
stay in a hotel. If you go home, you're going to miss 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, you got to go to a hotel. So I went to a hotel for the first 3 days.
You were there for almost a week.
Was I really? Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. It was almost a week. It felt like 3 days.
Sure did.
And
it felt like longer than a week to me.
In my mind, I thought, I'm doing this because they have it, but they don't feel sick. Right. And so like I feel like I have to be a good teammate, and I don't want to, I mean, we really need me to pitch, and I'm like, gosh, I got to go to a hotel, and then my wife texts me. She's like, I'm not.
It was about a week later.
I'm not good. You gotta.
Yeah, I finally was like, I feel like maybe I need a little bit of help here.
Yeah.
And when my wife, she is not a pathetic sick person, which I appreciate so much because that is a big pet peeve of mine. Like, if I tell you like I need to go to the hospital, like I'm probably gonna die there, right? And so I don't have great empathy sometimes either with that.
If there's physical evidence of it.
Right. If there's blood, I'm in. Like, oh, shoot.
Like, if he can tell that you're not faking it, then.
Yeah.
Then he's good. He's all about, he was a great nurse that week.
Yeah. But if you're super, like, if they're super sick, like, I'm like, all right, I need to do what I need to do. But if you get the sniffles and you're going to tell me you need to miss a few days of school, I'm like, nah, get in there, kid. So she tells me, baby, you got to come home. Like, I need help. And when I get there, I look at my wife, and her face was as white as her sweater right now. Mm-hmm. She could barely move, and I had to take her to the hospital, and she ended up staying there a few days. She doesn't like admitting that, But there was nowhere else in the world I needed to be than right there in that moment with her and my family. And it was, I didn't even think twice about it. But, you know, I'm in the house. I'm double masked in the house.
For the first couple of days, until we got to like the 10-day mark, and then he didn't have to anymore. But
watching her, she's so tough. You know, when I see you go through something that you really need, like I had to lift her up off the bed, and I had to walk her to the bathroom, and she just had no energy, and she was sapped completely and completely dehydrated. You know, when I see my girl like that, man, I gotta, you know, the chivalry comes out. I gotta take care of my sweetie.
Yeah.
He was a great nurse. Yep.
So no questions. It's like at this point, baseball doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like family is most important.
No, and it's like, you know, I'm old now, so I've played for a while. So I always tell her, I'm like, hey, if you ever get, no matter what, right, you get to a point where you need me, and you say, Adam, it's been a good run, but I need you home.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Because I know if she tells me that, it's real, and I got to go.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you guys. We really appreciate you taking some time, you know, at this conference here, and just thank you for your time, your transparency, and we just really appreciate it. So thank you both very,
Thanks
very
for having
much.
us on.
Thank you.
And many thanks to Adam and Jenny Wainwright for being our guests today on Sports Spectrum. Thanks to our managing editor at Sports Spectrum, John Ackerman, for conducting that interview and that conversation. So that was the podcast version, but we want to really recommend to you to pick up our Sports Spectrum magazine and subscribe today. A 1-year subscription for $18, a 2-year subscription is just $30, 4 quarterly issues, and the latest issue that's going to be released in just a few weeks, maybe even sooner if you order today, features Adam and Jenny Wainwright. So this conversation that we did for the podcast, we turned it in to a magazine cover story, and there's a lot more in the story than you heard here in this conversation on the podcast. So highly recommend you check out Sports Spectrum magazine. Adam and Jenny are on the cover, and man, they are just dynamite, aren't they? Great people. Adam's one of the best guys in baseball. He loves Jesus. His desire is to point people to Jesus, disciple, you know, his teammates and his friends in the game. And Jenny is just the perfect partner for him, doing all the dirty work behind the scenes, and just a great support. And she's an amazing person as well. She was a big catalyst in helping us be able to have this cover story and this conversation at the conference we were at in Miami a month or so ago. So many thanks to the Wainwrights. We wish them nothing but the best, and who knows how long Adam will pitch, but we'll keep watching if he'll keep pitching. That is for sure. And Lord knows he's got great plans for the Wainwrights, even post-career, and that is for sure. So we appreciate the Wainwrights. We thank them. We thank you as well for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you click that follow or subscribe button on the podcast app you're listening on so that you never miss an episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast. Go get the magazine, as I mentioned. You can order it right there at sportspectrum.com. And when you're there, just hang around on that website for a while, because there's tons of content there that's all for free. Articles, devotionals, podcast stories, available at sportspectrum.com. And then please do join us next time right here on Sports Spectrum. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time right here on Sports Spectrum.